Hi, my name is Justin.MPG, and the topic I would like to talk about today is agricultural use of pesticides. The advancements of modern agriculture have demanded for new ways to allow for faster production, and it is estimated that with the increase of world's population, food production will need to double by the year 2050. The method of aerial spraying pesticides to our food contributes to the speedy process in agriculture. Though this is a positive for the agricultural world, one of the major problems of that can result from it is pesticide drift. So a proposition I would like to make today is the agriculture method of aerial spraying pesticides to crops is negatively affecting the surrounding environments and its members. And my first supporting claim is the method of aerial spraying pesticides to crops is harming wildlife. And my second supporting claim will be the method of aerial spraying pesticides to crops is polluting the crops. And my third supporting claim is the method of aerial spraying pesticides to crops is harming human health. Now back to my first supporting claim. Though the use of herbicides are only slightly toxic to wildlife, they affect wildlife population indirectly by altering the structure of the habitat. Pollinators such as bees, birds, bats, and insects play a crucial role in flowering plant production and in the production of most fruits and vegetables. According to the U.S. and Wildlife Service, they state that honeybees pollinate approximately $15 billion worth of crops in the U.S. each year. A recent study of the status of pollinators in North America by the National Academy of Sciences found that populations of honeybees and some wild pollinators are declining. A significant amount of fish and bird kills have resulted from the legal application of pesticides. Insecticides kill insects by damaging their central nervous systems and can harm wildlife in the same way. Wildlife are exposed to pesticides by breathing the chemical, swallowing contaminated food or water, absorbing the chemical through the skin or feathers, or by swallowing the chemical when grooming. Also, recent studies from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service show that major rivers and streams have one or more pesticides detected, and more than 90% of the time in water. Okay. In recent studies of major rivers and streams, one or more pesticides were detected, and more than 90% of the time in water, and more than 80% of the fish sampled, and in 33% of major aquifers. Now to my second supporting claim, the method of aerial spraying pesticides to crops is polluting the crops. According to the Environmental Working Group, the top 10 produce that is contaminated includes peaches, apples, strawberries, cherries, lettuce, and grapes. The maximum number of pesticides found in the top 10 contaminated produce range from 6 to 9 different kinds of pesticides found on a single sample. The percentage of samples tested with the detectable pesticides in the top 10 contaminated produce was above 85%. According to Rick Besson, extension entomologist at the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture, states that infants are even exposed to pesticide residue. An environmental working group conducted a research that tested 8 foods made by the 3 major baby food producers, Gerber, Heinz, and Beechnut. 16 pesticides were detected in the 8 baby foods tested that include 3 probable human carcinogens, 5 possible human carcinogens, and 8 neurotoxins, 5 pesticides that disrupt the normal functioning of hormone system, and 5 pesticides that are categorized as oral toxicity category 1, the most toxic designation. My third support claim that I want to make today is the method of aerial pesticides to crops is harming human health. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, depending on the type of pesticide, some can affect the nervous system, some may be carcinogens, and some may irritate the skin or eyes. According to the American Journal of Public Health, a 1996 research project studied brain cancer rates among 600 people. The research demonstrated a twofold increased risk of developing brain cancer for people who live within 2,600 feet of an agriculture area. Various governmental agencies and citizen groups have received 643 documented complaints from citizens of Monterey and Santa Cruz counties. They believe they suffered adverse short-term reactions following the aerial spraying between September and October 2007. And this does not include the complaints sent to the governor or other elected officials. Some of these effects include difficulty breathing and shortness of breath, skin rashes, sometimes severe, dizziness, intestinal pain and diarrhea, headaches, chest pains and tightness. Many community leaders remain concerned after learning of a large scale of documented complaints. Dr. Doug Holstead, a pediatrician from Monterey County, quotes, "The science establishing the safety of the spraying simply is not there. In effect, this has been an experiment on a grand scale. The Nuremberg Code, which is adhered to by the National Institute of Health, prohibits medical experimentation on a human subject without their informed consent. I believe the same code of ethics could be adhered to in this situation." And another quote by Emily Riley, Santa Cruz City Council member, states that the number of people who have reported adverse reactions is alarming, and I believe further spraying must be halted until we can be certain it is safe. So to conclude my argument, we should find other alternatives instead of using aerial spraying, which speed up the process of agriculture. However, they also harm everything around surroundings. So please take that into consideration. And please realize one of the major problems of the agricultural world today. Thank you.
All right, the subject is identified pretty clearly. I think that you did a good job identifying the proposition especially. The phrasing there is solid. They've got one kind of addendum that you put on at the end of it, but I didn't think it was a big deal. You laid out the secondary claims in a very clear manner, but it is a little mechanical when you're going through it. It's almost hesitatingly obvious that, oh yeah, let me point out number one. Now let me move on to number two. And so you need to be a little bit smoother on that kind of thing, because it can be a lot more natural. But structurally, you're doing the right sort of thing there. You did an excellent job in the signposting. I thought that was much better as you went through the points and you just presented the individual supporting points. Those were fine. They didn't sound nearly as heavy-handed. I thought you did a good job citing your evidence. You had a variety of examples and statistics and testimony that you're using and some factual data. You're consistent in giving us source citations for that, so almost everything there is very solid to very good. There are a couple of places that I think you need some more information. For instance, the link on bees to pesticides is missing. There's some inference that the bees are disappearing because of pesticides, and I didn't hear any evidence that pointed in that particular direction. The statistical risk that you had on the third point on brain cancer, that's the one thing where there really appears to be something that is a definitive impact that we can look at. I don't know how convincing the evidence is, but it was the only evidence that you really had on that point. Other than that, the evidence that you have on that last point is, you know, general paranoia stuff. I'm a little iffy on quoting the doctor who is equating it to, you know, violation of the Nuremberg laws and that kind of thing. That seems a little bit over the top. If you've got a valid criticism, if there's some scientific data on this, if he's got an example, he should point to those kinds of things. Otherwise, it just seems like it's political grandstanding. Instead of supporting your claim, it might be good to have maybe at the beginning to show there's a controversy on those kinds of things. But other than that, I'm not sure that you really want to have a lot of that in the presentation. The pacing's not always consistent, and as you probably recognize yourself, you had a little trouble with the exit line. All right.